Hey, everybody. Welcome again to Before the Hammer Strikes, our podcast. Today is kind of a special day for us. We have one of our designers here with us. We also have one of our customers with us to do a little bit of a customer spotlight. So really excited for you guys to share in this dynamic. Dawn, thanks for being here. And then Donna, thank you for being here.
You're very welcome. It's an honor.
Is it? Good. Well, we're glad to have you. You're one of the first to be here on our podcast as a customer, so it's an honor for us too. And then Dawn is actually our first designer that we've had on the podcast. Dawn, are you nervous?
Not really.
Okay.
I'm actually excited.
Good.
Because I get in with one of my favorite clients.
Yeah, absolutely. So for the audience, let's just take a couple of minutes. And Donna, will you share with them who you are and what motivated you to be here today?
Well, I am a retired person who grew up in Phoenix, and I lived in Northern California for quite a while. I moved back, and I bought a casita in Westbrook Village, which needed to be updated.
Okay.
And I had Trevec actually has the contract for the roofs
Okay.
in my community, so I knew about Trevec
So you learned about us through our roofing.
initially.
Okay. Great.
Initially, and then I heard an ad on the radio about the seminar.
Yep.
And so I came to the seminar, and I thought it was very, very informative, and I learned a lot. Excuse me. And then at the end of the seminar, the designers came out, and they were talking just casually to people. And Don was one of the designers who was talking. And I liked what he said. And he had a very nice smile. And I liked his personality. And so I called him up and actually I called Trevec and said I would like to have Don. And so then he called me and we were off to the races.
I love just hearing this story because just a couple of pieces. Like we are probably most known in the Valley for our remodeling. Mm-hmm. We've been around for 24 plus years. Uh-huh. About 5 years ago, we acquired a couple of roofing companies, and we've got a really strong roofing vertical as well. But you learned about us through our roofing vertical.
Right.
And then got introduced to our remodeling. We got to spend a little bit of time at the seminar. It was fun to have you there. And then, like a lot of our customers do, you hit it off with Dawn.
Yes.
Dawn, share with the audience who you are. Like, obviously, you guys have formed this great relationship, and you hit it off, and things went so well in that process. But, Dawn, tell us about you. How long have you been with Trevec? What makes you special?
What makes me special?
Everything.
Everything. I've been with Trevec for 2 years, and I just love my clients. I put my clients first, which is amazing. Going back to how we met, we didn't really speak during the seminar.
No. Well, no, that's
not
not
till the very
true.
end.
Right. Go ahead.
As Donna was getting ready to leave, I said, if you want me to help me with your remodel, here's my card. And she looked at me and she said, I'm going to be a very difficult client. And I thought to myself, oh, she can't be that bad.
Right?
I'm like, I don't have difficult clients. I was wrong. Donna has expanded my whole wealth of knowledge in remodeling.
Well, look at that.
Yeah, so it's been amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And you tell us a little bit about your background, because I think that, one thing that I see as general manager, by the way, Dawn is one of our A players. He's one of the superstars here at Trevec, and his career path and his growth has been really amazing. Mm-hmm. People are just drawn to you, and for one reason or another, I think they're crazy, but people are drawn to you. What is it that drives you? Like how have you become a top performer at Trevec and so good at what you do? Like, what's been the secret for you?
Drive, using our core values of picking up the phone, answering my clients' phone calls, calling them back.
Yeah.
Just being on top of it.
Sure.
I have, I guess, a gift of being a little intuitive on what my clients want.
Okay.
Being really honest and upfront. And my catchphrase is, if I hate something, I just look at them and say, I think we can do better. And so that's always our little code word, which they know that means absolutely not.
Yeah.
Well, something that's interesting. So I've been training sales professionals for almost my entire career. And almost all the time, there's this divide with salespeople and designers of you get the used car salesman that's got these sales techniques and tricks, and they walk through the door and immediately your guard goes up and you're like, oh, okay, he's here to sell me something. I think something that makes Don really unique is that you get Don.
Right,
He's authentic.
exactly.
He's genuine. He'll tell you how he's feeling. And I think that's rare for most people. And I may be speaking out of turn, but for you as a homeowner, did you recognize that, or what was so different about
Well,
Don that made it make sense?
The thing I would say, first of all, is that you guys have a booklet that you give people to read.
Yeah.
And I read the booklet. And so and of course, attending the seminar, I got a lot of information. And so when I met with Don, I understood that I needed to tell him exactly what I wanted.
Yeah.
And because I had learned that the worst thing to say is change order.
Mm-hmm.
So I did not want there to be any change order. So I wanted him to know exactly what I wanted. And then he wanted, of course, to know what my budget was. And so I told him that. And then he gave me an idea of what it was going to cost.
Yeah.
And the thing I appreciate, getting back to Don, is that he worked very hard. He didn't try to say, well, you can't do it within that amount of money. He worked very hard to keep everything within my budget. And he is very good about listening to
Yeah.
what you want. And he truly cares about making you happy,
Mm-hmm.
because if there were things that I looked at when he took me out shopping, and I would say, well, it's okay, it'll be acceptable, but, and I would hesitate. And he would say, well, I don't want you just to like it. I want you to love it.
Yeah.
So he cares about making the client happy, satisfying the wants of the client.
Yeah. So this is an interesting thing, and you brought up a couple of things that I
I
want
did.
to
Okay.
touch on, because I think it's important for our audience to hear. One thing that we go over again and again and again in our Monday sales meetings, we have them weekly, and we meet together and we train together and we talk about how things are going, is that in every conversation that you have with a homeowner or every appointment that you have, Dawn, it's not about you.
Right.
And this isn't Dawn specific. This is all of our designers. It's not about them. And when a really great sales professional and designer can get that through their head that it is about you,
Right.
and you shouldn't just like it, you should love it.
Right.
And it's not about Dawn's commission or closing a deal or any of that. Like,
Right.
it's not about the salesperson. It's about you
Right.
as the homeowner. And I think Dawn does such a beautiful job of understanding that and then taking you through this journey and this experience where it's like, wow, I do feel like it's about me.
Exactly. And the other thing I have to add is that Don is extremely patient, because I am a person who, even though I want to see all my choices.
Mm-hmm.
And at first when I started looking, it had been a long time since I'd done any remodeling, and I had to familiarize myself with what the new materials are now,
Yeah.
because it was very different, the last time I did something like this. And so it took me a while to see, to learn about that, and then to start being able to actually make choices about what I wanted. And I would think to myself, this has just been lately, there was something that was going to be part of the remodeling, and I realized when I saw it that I didn't really like that. And I thought, oh no, I have to call up Don again. And Don is going to be, he's going to get frustrated with me. He's going to, fire me and as a client. So I called him, and he had, I had texted him first of all. And then when he called me, he had already taken care of it. And he was his wonderful, cheerful,
Right.
Loving self. And truly.
So, there's no other way to be.
Yeah, and he's very patient.
Yeah. Now you just walked us through this experience, and in my mind, like, that's how it should be, right? But that's not how it is in the world. Sometimes we don't run into that. I want to flip over to Dawn just a little bit and get your perspective on this journey. So we've heard what Donna said, and it sounds great. Were there challenges that you ran into when you got a text from Donna? Were you like, oh no, here comes the frustration? Like, what was that like for you as a designer working with Donna and her? Actually, before we jump into that, what was the project? What did we end up doing?
Oh, we're doing a whole home remodel.
Okay.
So we're doing the flooring, the kitchen, 2 bathrooms, painting, everything.
Okay.
Carpeting, the whole shebang.
So a pretty decent sized project with a lot of moving pieces, it sounds like. Okay.
Yes. And the wonderful thing, I'm so grateful that Donna is retired because Donna does a bunch of research for me. And my normal process, or I shouldn't say normal, my average client is we meet at the showroom. We go through the finishes. I'm usually like, I like this, this, and this. And they're like, oh my gosh, so do I. That's great. And then we move forward.
Yeah.
Well, no, not Donna and I. Donna and I went to, I remember, it was in August or September. It was hotter than heck.
I think we first met in late August. So it's taken about 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
And so we go to because you wanted to see the full slabs of quartz.
Yeah.
And I was stuck on the citrine, which is one of my favorite ones. We get there. She's like, no, I don't like that. I said, okay, well, you know that the slab yard, that building is not air conditioned. It's a swamp cooler in the corner.
Right.
So it's 120 degrees outside. We're walking through there, and she is traipsing me all over this thing. And then we pick one, and she goes, I said, okay, great. I really like that one. She goes, I'm 99.9% there. And I just thought
That
to myself,
0.1% can really get in the way, can it?
it did, because we went back there towards the end.
Right.
So tell me you didn't actually land on the citrine at the end of the day.
No, we didn't.
No.
Okay.
We
all right.
almost did, though.
Okay.
I thought we were.
He tried.
I
He tried. Okay.
I tried. But the wonderful thing is that she chose the Serene, which is now a slab that I have used in other projects because I love it so much.
So she opened your mind a little bit
She
to some of the
has
design.
been expanding my design sense. We are creating a mural of flowers and birds on her
that's
shower
cool.
walls together, which is the first time I'm doing anything like that.
Wow.
What else? The little situation that she just talked about was, I've used a Schluter edge on my finishing.
Mm-hmm.
And I showed it to her in the showroom. She said, that is great. That is wonderful. And then now where are we, like 6 weeks later? And she calls me and says, I now want a tile edge.
Right.
Which is a pencil, which
Right.
actually is more beautiful. So it was an easy fix. I
Good.
just called, got it matched, ordered it, done.
But this is an example of how he tries to accommodate the client because he was trying to keep me within my budget.
Right.
And the Schluter edge is less expensive. The pencil tile is much more expensive.
Right.
But, it was something I really wanted, so it was my choice. But it wasn't a matter of him trying to sell me something
That
or
you didn't
convince me,
want.
or that was too expensive for
Yeah.
what I had said I was, within my budget. So that's a good example.
So this is an interesting point because you probably heard that in the seminar as we talked through that, identifying what your compromises are and what's really important to you. And
Right.
and one of the reasons that Trevec has landed on this design to build model is for that reason, right? You get a great designer in
Yes.
by your side like Dawn who can walk you through that and say, remember when we talked about your compromises and we talked about your budget? This is one of those times where if this is really, really important to you, we got to have that conversation.
Right.
So props to you being willing to have that conversation around compromises, and to Dawn for being patient and willing to talk through that again,
Right.
to really land on what you wanted in your home.
Yes.
That's awesome. Dawn, from a design standpoint, you've been doing this a couple years. Before Trevec, were you doing design or were you doing something different?
I was in insurance. I was in property and casualty insurance in Phoenix for 8 years. But prior to that, in Los Angeles, I was in fashion.
Okay.
So I was in merchandising, I was installing shops, and then I was in sales
All right.
for women's apparel.
So you've got an eye for design. Clearly, over the last couple of years, you've propelled your career to an awesome level in this industry and in this world. What are you seeing right now, design-wise? And I know you alluded to the fact that you land on a couple of designs that you really love, and sometimes great customers like Donna can get you outside of your comfort zone. But what are you seeing design-wise that other homeowners should know in the market right now that's trending or that you feel like is pretty popular?
Natural wood tones. My aesthetic is when you walk in, you feel like it's a breath of fresh air, right? Simple, transitional, going towards a little bit of modern, clean lines.
Okay.
Less is more. They call me the oatmeal king because my palette is usually within that range. I like to do my differentiations in texture, maybe not color. So I can do the same sort of colors, but in texture. I'm using a new product. Well, it's not a new product, but large porcelain slabs are now becoming popular. They're more difficult to fabricate because they're a little touchy, but I found an amazing fabricator who warranties their fabrication. So if the slab breaks, they pay for the new one.
That's great.
Yeah.
You're not the first person to say that. So we've had a couple of people on the podcast, different vendors, fabricators, stone shops, that are saying the same things. They're seeing the porcelain slabs. It's a little bit more expensive to fabricate, but at the end of the day, it's a much more durable product. So that's interesting. You're seeing the same thing.
Yeah, I'm doing a shower right now that is all big porcelain slabs. And we get to do the book matching of the veins.
Right.
It is going to be elevated.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really awesome. So do you guys mind, can I bring up kind of a sensitive subject? Are you okay with that?
We're good.
Okay,
Yeah.
Great. I had a few weeks back, the director of the ROC was here sitting down with me, and we were having this conversation. And I asked him a question. I said, well, what are you seeing? Like, obviously contractors, and if you're a business owner watching this, like, you want to try to stay off the ROC's radar. And of course, most contractors or most companies like us, we want to put our best foot forward and deliver quality. But I asked him, I said, what are you seeing the most of if somebody has an ROC complaint? Why does it get there? Like, why is it landing there? And he communicated to me that the majority of the time it's because of budget or finances. And then he took that a layer further and he said, and it's usually just a communication problem. Either the homeowner wasn't willing to be vulnerable enough to really communicate what their budget was financially,
Right.
or the designer or sales professional wasn't confident enough to dig in on that conversation and talk about budget and talk about what was important and what the real budget was. And so there was some sort of missed alignment there or missed expectation. Walk me through what that was like for you guys, because it sounds like that wasn't a strenuous situation for you. And anytime somebody talks about money, all of a sudden
Right.
as human beings, we're like, oh, my guard is up. I don't want to talk about my finances. What if I tell this guy too much? Then he's going to take advantage of me. Like, how did that become an open, organic conversation for you guys to land in a good place?
Well, partly because of the preparation I got from reading the book and from the seminar. I knew that I needed to be straightforward about that. So when Don came and I gave him my word process list of everything I wanted.
Yeah.
She did it. It was
Yeah.
actually maybe like 6 pages.
Well, maybe
More?
5.
5. But it was very detailed by room, which
Yes.
is amazing and a gift
Oh, sure.
as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, it was
so thank you
it
for
was
that.
very, very specific. And so I told him, I said, this is what I would like to spend. And I said, if I had to, maybe this amount, I said, but, this is like my max.
Right.
And so, ideally I'd like it to be, let's say 75,000, but if it goes to 150. So I was honest.
Good.
I was honest with him, and then he was able to, based on what I wanted, to cost it all out and give me an estimate that was definitely within that range. And then the other thing I have to compliment him for, I hate to pay him compliments.
Well, of course.
I don't want
Nobody
him
likes
to get,
He won't be able to get out this room by the time we're done.
I know.
His
It's
head will
really,
be way too
I
big.
have to deal with that all the time. It's
You poor
really a
thing.
problem, I know. But but the thing about it is that one of the things that he tried to do was to show me things that were within my budget, within my price range. And that was one of the areas where I had to kind of nudge him, because I love ceramic tile.
Yeah.
And he had shown me, he took me so many places and showed me so many things. And then in the process, he introduced me to the people at these establishments, like over at Arizona Tile.
Sure.
So I would go in and they knew me,
Right.
and he would allow me to I said, going rogue. He would let me go by myself and I would look. But basically he was, as I said, he was trying to keep me within my budget. But then I would see things like the tile that I really liked. And I saw this particular tile and I fell in love with it. But as a result of that, then I'm increasing, what
Sure.
I'm willing to invest, because it is an investment.
Yeah.
And he was, completely supportive and so forth. But basically, I'm trying to compliment him in the sense that he was trying to keep me,
Within
show me
that
materials
budget.
that were within my budget. And
Yeah.
so if I went over the budget, it wasn't because of Don, it was because of me.
Sure.
And so that was okay.
Well,
So
I would say too, like, don't sell yourself short either. Like, it's pretty rare to have a customer that's that open and that's that vulnerable and transparent. Like, it seems basic. It seems like, well, of course, everybody should be that way, but we're human. And so, don't sell yourself short. Like, that's
Oh,
a big
no,
accomplishment for you too, to come
Right.
prepared.
right, we have no secrets.
That's good. And I'm telling you, if every experience could be like that between designer and homeowner, the stress and friction would be so much lower.
Yeah.
Like, it is a construction project at the end of the day. There's going to be stress. There's going to be some friction. But the more we can reduce that, the better. What did that do for you, Dawn? Like, from a sales standpoint or just an experiential standpoint, her being prepared and open and willing to communicate those things, how did that change the conversation?
Well, it made it we were able to be very direct with each other.
Yeah.
So since she gave me that list of everything that she wanted done, we went through it, we sat there, and I was able to give her estimates on each portion of it. And I also was able to say, do you really want to do this? Oh, maybe we should do this instead. And it was a back and forth. It's a collaboration.
Yeah.
It's the two of us deciding what's best for Donna and her home.
Yeah. And that's really the way it should be. Right. And I wanted to just touch on one other thing. Like, you came to you put the legwork in. You came to
Yes.
the seminar.
Right.
You tried to prepare yourself before you decided to go through this experience.
Right.
One of the reasons why we have the seminars is for that reason.
Right.
Like, whether people use Trevec or not, and we always say this in everything we put onto the market, like, it's not a sales presentation.
Right.
It's an educational piece.
Exactly.
And whether you ended up going with Trevec or not, we hope that through that seminar, and we have another one coming up on the 12th, by the way. So invite your friends, tell them to
right.
come. But the goal is that we can educate you and help
Right.
you to understand what the process looks like or should look like,
Right.
so that when you sit with a Dawn or a designer, you are prepared, you've got expectations in place, and we don't have a lot of this cat and mouse that happens
Right.
in a lot of sales situations or sales conversations. So again, good on you for putting the work in
Yeah.
to come to a seminar, to learn, to be educated, and then actually connecting with somebody there and having that experience with Dawn. That was really awesome.
Right. Well, I'm very happy with Don, and I am very happy with Trevek, and the work has started, and I'm very pleased. The guys are very professional. My foreman is excellent, and I couldn't be happier.
Good.
You know, the only thing I told Don is I don't want you guys to have any other projects. I just want mine finished, and then you can do all the other people.
Well, that would be a perfect world, wouldn't it? I hope Dawn didn't commit that to you, that you would be the only person.
No, actually, he's been very honest and realistic the whole time. And, I know it's going to be 6 to 8
Sure.
weeks, but they're moving along so quickly that.
Good.
And I will say this. I am trying to be, I told him, I said, I'm going to be the most cooperative client you have because I don't want to be the cause of delaying
Sure.
things, So other than the fact that I'm still living in the house, I'm doing my best to.
Is it the second week that we're in?
This is only the second week, yeah.
The second week. So within 2 weeks, we've done all the demolition of one bathroom, the kitchen, all the flooring. We have taken out all the cabinets. We have installed all the cabinets. We have templated for the countertops. And now the tile is going in the main
I would
part
say
of the house.
I would say probably 50% of the tile is in. And I'm assuming they told me they would finish this week. So I think they might run into Monday.
Yeah.
But they're
So
moving
we're moving
along.
pretty quick.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
I will say this, even though you aren't our only client,
Don, you misled me.
yeah, he misled you. Shame on him. Don has a really unique way of making you feel like he's your only client.
Yes.
And that's pretty special. So it sounds like you guys are connected to the right people, you to Dawn and Dawn to you.
Absolutely.
Our production team also makes a huge effort to make sure that you feel like you're our only client as well, even though they're working on other jobs.
Right.
As you can see, they're moving really quickly with high quality. So that's great. I'm glad to hear that. All right, guys. So we're coming up on the end of our time. It went really fast. I can't thank you enough, Donna, for being willing to come into
I'm
our
happy.
showroom again
I'm happy to
and
do
visit
it.
with us. So if we could just leave one parting gift for the audience, and I'll have Dawn, you share first, and then Donna, you share. What would you leave with our audience if they're thinking about a remodel, if they don't know what to do in their remodel, maybe they're in the middle of a remodel? What advice can you give to them from a designer's perspective?
Do your research on the company that you're thinking of going with. Give me a call. I'll answer your questions.
Okay. And you'll answer questions even if they decide not to go with you as a designer, or
100%.
Okay, great.
Yeah, our only goal here at Trevek is to help.
Yeah.
And sometimes we meet with clients that aren't a good fit, but I can refer them to someone who could help them better.
Sure.
But 90% of the time we are.
Yeah, absolutely. How about you, Donna? What do you want to leave with our audience?
I think what I would like to leave, I want to leave 2 things.
Okay.
The first thing is that it is extremely important that you pick out the right company to begin with. And that's why I picked Trevek, because of your reputation and all of your credentialing. And I was impressed with the seminar. And actually, I had some roof work done prior, and I was very impressed with that. And so that's number one. Because if you don't have a good company, then you're not going to end up with a good result.
Doesn't matter how good Dawn is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is you have to really think about, and like Dawn says, do your research. You have to be really clear about what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't know for sure, then meet with Dawn or someone. Well, there's nobody like Dawn, but
Just meet with Dawn. That's a short answer.
Someone who can give you information that you need.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think that's both sides. It's great insight. Like, get educated, do your research on the company, ask the right questions. I can't say enough how awesome it's been to have you here. And Dawn, we get to see each other on a daily basis, but not in this setting. This has been really fun.
Yes, thank you.
And I really appreciate you being willing to sit down and just kind of talk shop a little bit. And it's interesting because initially I had asked Don to be on this podcast with us as a designer spotlight. And he said, well, if I'm going to be on it, I have got to bring Donna because we get along so well. And I just feel like she has a story to tell. And it's been such a great experience. So thanks for having the courage to invite her. And thank you for having the courage to show up.
I wouldn't have missed it. And I feel very fortunate to have found Dawn.
Great.
And Trey.
Good. Well, again, everybody, thank you for watching today or listening if you listened. We do this every week, and our podcast launches every week. If you haven't been to one of our seminars, we've heard a lot of talk today about how valuable that is. We have them the second Tuesday of every month, and we have another one coming up here pretty soon. So jump on our website, register for that seminar, or give Don a call. He'd be happy to answer your questions. Again, thank you for always joining us and always supporting us. Join us again next week for Before the Hammer Strikes, and have a great weekend.